Before the video starts, I just want to say this video in affiliation with Poggers. Poggers is a hydration plus energy drink mix made for gamers, creators, and anyone who plays life at full speed. Zero sugar, all flavor, no crash. Use my credit code MIkutunez for a 10% discount. Every purchase, I earn a commission for anything. So yes, this video includes an ad. I don't usually do ads. I have not earned a single commission yet, but I am an affiliate, so I legally have to put this here. So thank you and enjoy the video.
I messed up recently. You see, I decided to rant on Twitter. That, believe it or not, isn't the part I messed up at. It's what I decided to post. You see, I've been daily driving Linux, specifically CachyOS, on my main gaming system, and I ended up having a bug that completely nuked my desktop environment. Now, I go into more detail later in the video on what I think caused this, but in my infinite wisdom, I just decided to post on Twitter saying this happened, and oh boy, did the neckbeards come out and lose their flippin' mind. I have never had a post get so much engagement from people calling me an idiot, a moron, saying I should have picked something else, and I thought what better way than to just read some of the comments on stream. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe. Okay, bye. TLDR.
And I did enjoy the video, but I kind of want to comment on this. I'm on Windows right now, right? I'm gonna move over to Sonic real quick while I talk about this, because I have some inputs on this. So, you might not think I'm qualified to talk about this, but I've used Linux many times in the past, right? And I'd be on Linux right now. But the reason I can't be on Linux, this is the one reason. And then I'll go into the reason why as well. I use Clip Studio for art. I'm an artist on the side. I do a lot of art. And while I know there's open source stuff like Krita, GIMP, and some other alternatives, Krita doesn't fit my needs and my workflow. I can get it to, and I've tried using Krita. I don't think it's bad software. You can definitely make some art in it. I just much prefer the ecosystem of CS. But a lot of comments in that video were just outrageous. I've had Linux shit itself multiple times. Actually, the last time it shit, it was very recently, which is why I'm back on Windows. But that's why I'm back on Windows, because Linux decided to shit itself. And for similar reasons, would just go to do something simple like install an app, like even Steam, right? Recently I tried installing Steam on, trying to think of what distribution I was using at the time. I was using Mint. I was using Linux Mint, which, mind you, is a complete opposite. That does use GNOME, as he mentions in the video. He's on KDE, and it's just pretty fucking whack that people defend Linux as sort of like it's perfect software. You gotta realize a lot of fucking Linux devs are doing this free of heart. They're not getting paid. I think Linux has come a very far way in a lot of aspects, especially gaming. But to say there's just no issues with it and act like issues like this don't happen, even like devs of Linux distros and stuff are coming out on that video and like saying stuff to them. Like, that doesn't happen. It does. It very much does, as someone who's tried many Linux distros. Even SteamOS has its own issues, right? I thought about maybe daily driving SteamOS, since I don't do a whole lot, like as a dual boot. I still need Windows because of the creative works I do, but I figured I'd install it to play most of my games on, right? Can't do that. Biggest reason is SteamOS doesn't really like dual monitor setups. It's very janky to get a dual monitor working in SteamOS. And first off, I'm not running any NVIDIA products in my computer. I have a full AMD computer, and I can even show that. But as you can see, this is a 9070 XT and a Ryzen 9. And I have 64 gigabytes of DDR5. So, I'm well enough to run Linux without issues. That's why I figured I'd comment on this stuff, because I have had these issues with Linux, with the system just completely nuking itself, and it'd be as simple as even installing Steam. I once installed Steam on Mint here in recent times, and Steam just refused to launch any games. And then it would get to the point where Steam itself would not launch up. The only way I could get Steam to launch up was doing terminal launch for it. And obviously you don't want to do terminal launch every time you want to launch something as simple as Steam's fucking GUI. So just to say, like, Linux doesn't have these issues is, like, the dumbest tomfoolery ever. It has issues. And, like, if a lot of my stuff I used worked on Linux, I wouldn't have an issue. You can get Clip Studio to run on Linux, like, very fine. The only issue I found with doing that is the current community guide for getting installed via bottles. The text editor doesn't work in Clip. It will just straight up crash Clip Studio if you try to do any text inside of it using bottles. Like the setup for Clip Studio, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I set that up. But otherwise, it works perfectly. You can technically use it. Well, it doesn't work perfectly. There's some issues with, like, the web store, because the web store on Clip Studio uses Microsoft's Web 2 viewer. So basically, like, Edge. And so it just fucks up pretty fucking hard. Many things on Linux you still can't install without using a terminal. So to say it doesn't have its own issues still is like the dumbest shit. And I'm very tech savvy and everything. I can get all that done. Unlike most people. A lot of the Linus team, for example, they will use like a LM to look up stuff. While I'll say I have used it for some things on Linux, for the most part, like 90% of the time, right? I am still like hard looking through old forums and new forums. Because that's one thing that bugs me when people say they're using an LM to get around Linux stuff, to like figure stuff out. They'll be like, there's only old forums. Like, yeah, like that's the first results. It does suck. You have to dig a little deeper to find newer issues pertaining to your certain issue, but they do exist. But to say people just don't have these issues with Linux is like the dumbest shit ever. And in his credit, a lot of the stuff he said he did before this happened, yeah, I believe it. I've had issues like that with Linux. Just, you install something, it just breaks. And it can be a officially supported package, and it will just break. In some cases, right, it's dead ass, even if they're official supported packages, they'll still break because sometimes packages get put out without full testing. So you have like fucked up shit. So you just get a bunch of like fucked up fucking shit in Linux. A lot of this video I'm gonna have to like cut down a little bit because I didn't really write a script or anything for this. I'm just kind of talking. But otherwise, I love Linux. I think it's great. It's better than Windows is even right now. Windows 11 fucking sucks balls. Windows 11 has way too many issues that most of Linux is very appealing. But just like Windows, Linux has its issues. And it's not stuff we can just ignore and act like it doesn't exist. Because acting like it doesn't exist makes a switch to an operating system like that much harder. Especially with all the toxicity. Like, you don't hear someone be toxic on Windows about using Windows. You hear gripes about Windows, but you don't hear, like, the kind of stuff you do on Linux. And the cases you do, it's very small. Because most of the issues with Windows is mostly with legacy support, right? Like getting a Windows XP to Windows 7 game era, like game running on Windows 11 can sometimes be annoying. In some cases, because of Linux, how long Linux has been worked on, most of the legacy titles that you could run on Windows work fine out of the box on Linux, because there's been a lot of support for them types of games. The biggest hurdle Linux still has, though, to get over is anti-cheats. Anti-cheats are still a big issue on Linux. Like, obviously, like, a lot of the games that don't run with the current anti-cheats on Linux, for the most part, there's enough games still to play. It's never ever something to get like it's nothing to ever get a wedgie over. You have plenty of games to choose from, especially with emulation, if you just want to sit down and play a game. But I mean never, ever will I not sit there and tell people there's not an issue with Linux if they decide to switch. That's the dumbest thing ever. Once I have extra money, the current machine you're seeing me playing on is gonna be a Linux machine, and then I'm just gonna have Windows installed on something else for creative stuff. But I ain't gonna sit here and tell people there's not issues with Linux. And having entire operating systems just nuke themselves, very common in my experience, even on GNOME, which I will double check during the editing of this. To make sure I'm not crazy and Linux Mint does use GNOME. And you gotta remember, Linux Mint has been around for a good while. That's a very solid thing, and it doesn't have like betas and stuff that doesn't get discussed by the distros. Like, I'm pretty sure CatchyOS and was the one that had this issue. PopOS, they both have like open betas with issues. The developers just didn't list on their site until like backlash from the same line as Steam. If I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that though, but I'm like pretty positive. And everything I talk about is never gonna be like, oh, you shouldn't use Linux. I think everyone should use Linux. And there's many applications to use it for. Again, never act like there's not issues with it. That's just the dumbest thing you could do. And it helps no one. There's still, like, even with some games, you'll still have to go through and do, like, what is it? You'll have to install, like, Proton QT just to get multimedia playback in games that use media in place of FMVs and stuff. There's still a little improvements that need to be made to the Linux before I can tell, like, anyone to go for it. Especially if you don't have, like, someone in your life that can help you through the hurdles of setting some stuff up in Linux. Because there is a huge barrier for just looking stuff up to fix issues. But yeah, point of the video, Linux has issues. I've had it nuke itself plenty of times, so I don't want to hear anyone say that that just doesn't happen with Linux. That's just not true. Because Linux gives you so much open freedom, it's very easy to kill Linux. Even when you know what you're doing. And I'm not going to call myself a Linux expert. I'd more or less put myself in the category of a tinkerer, an enthusiast, because I just love computing and I love tech. I wouldn't call myself an expert or a pro for Linux. I'm definitely not in the minority of people that like are just doing it because it's becoming bigger. Like, I very much know how to do a lot on Linux. But anyway, that's basically it for the video. I just wanted to make a comment about this, put my 2 cents on it, because it was just bugging me. And I've tried Bazzite, but I don't like how Bazzite looks. I don't like anything about it. I've even tried Fedora, and what is the other one? I forget what the other one is. I've tried a few good distros, but they all have their own issues and own use cases. For me, Mint was working, and Mint is pretty perfect to me, even with its issues. But yeah, thanks for watching, and have a good one. Bye bye.